So this is Bonobo, you're watching betterPropaganda. The thing I listen to least is probably kind of downbeat, instrumental, electronic music. You become more informed by listening to something that's completely out of your own area than you will from your contemporaries. I don't think it's dead. I don't think it'll ever be dead, the idea of sort of sample culture. But it doesn't seem to be as prominent as it once was. It was kind of revolutionary 15 years ago. It had all this sort of like contention that came with it. There's people going, well, you're not really making music. You don't hear that argument so much now. And I think we're sort of in an age of music where anything goes in terms of the sort of barriers of genres have been removed somewhat. So where before you used to have, hip-hop was a very sort of strict discipline, breakbeat was one thing and indie rock was another thing. Now it seems that everyone's just throwing it all in together. The idea of sort of sample culture is kind of ingrained in the conscious of music followers now. It's not a specific genre in itself anymore, it's just something that's part of music. The band was a kind of reaction to that, the idea that people wanted to see a performance. The only way to do it is to delegate all the parts and have a band come and play. I'm always trying to do something that's not repeating myself and also that's sort of progressing, moving forward and trying something different. So I think I started, when I started actually getting into sort of beat production, that was the way I was approaching things with sample. It was very sort of lo-fi, cut and paste sample kind of stuff. And I think after 2 records I started kind of wanting to move away from that and try something different, because it was just, the process was becoming repetitive, like digging for a break, finding a string sample, sticking them together, Not to say that is invalid, but for me, I wanted to move on and do something else and start sort of using microphones and real instruments and still keeping that sort of production aesthetic of treating them like they were samples. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of explore different ways of recording. Essentially, the records, I kind of don't use the band on the records. I play most of the stuff myself, other than the strings and the horns. I don't really sort of see it as a kind of live versus electronic thing. It's just creating sounds by whatever resources I can. And sometimes that's with a guitar, sometimes that's with, an old psychedelic jazz record. I've been working with the Portico Quartet on Black Sands, also various players like Tom Chant from Cinematic Orchestra, Fink, obviously with Andrea as well. There's stuff on there which is just straight up acoustic, kind of Central European jazz, and then, so you can't really call that one thing. But yeah, people always want to call it, people need to find classification for everything. Everyone wants to have a genre for everything.